crayon-resist timeline of the Louisiana Purchase. In this unit, students will use visual art strategies to travel through the key events and characters surrounding the timeline of the Louisiana Purchase. Students will create personally satisfying artwork using a variety of artistic processes and materials. Students will also ask and answer questions to demonstrate understanding of a text, referring explicitly to the text as the basis for the answers. Students will describe the relationship between a series of historical events, scientific ideas or concepts, or steps in technical procedures in a text, using language that pertains to time, sequence, and cause and effect. Students will also create timelines that identify important events in the history of Louisiana.
All right, guys, so today we're gonna be talking more about the Louisiana Purchase, and Mr. Todd is here to show us how we're gonna be doing an art project that's gonna be showing the whole timeline of the Louisiana Purchase and how the United States got Louisiana. We've been learning about the Louisiana Purchase, and part of third grade standards are they need to know the key characters and the history of it, as well as doing a timeline. So we figured doing the art project kind of incorporated all of those things. By the time Mr. Todd had come, we had already read the book, Louisiana Purchase, What Would You Do? Today, we're gonna start drawing different pictures and illustrations to represent each date. The book goes through everything so that they knew what a timeline was. They knew the events of the Louisiana Purchase. Now it was time to kind of give their own interpretation of those events. And so what we're doing is we're making an illustrated timeline. So we're gonna draw different illustrations to represent the different events.
One of the things we were looking for in this project was not only to do something about timelines, but to also draw the state of Louisiana, which is a standard. So I gave every kid a pizza tray. And on that pizza tray, it had a connect the dots. And what we're gonna do today is we are going to connect the dots, and this will make the state of Louisiana in its shape that we want to make. And then we're going to put a couple of lines and we're going to put icons on there. And what icons are symbols that represent something. I was trying to introduce some drawing skills in when I asked them to do icons, and they drew icons in the Gulf of Mexico and icons on the land. Who can tell me some things that we might find in the Gulf of Mexico? Oh, I love all these hands up. Okay.
A crab?
A crab! Definitely a lot of crabs, right? Who in here likes crabs? Me too. So good. Okay, to make a crab, you make this sort of curvy square like that. And then you make two lines that come up and some circles. And you make those eyes. And then you make an arm that comes up here like this. And then you do this to make the claws. And then you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we've gone over these animals, so let's start drawing some of those icons right now, okay? The next thing that we're gonna draw, some things that are icons that would have been on the land. And what do you think the most natural thing is that we could put on there?
Trees.
Definitely trees. We gotta put lots of trees. So one way you can draw a tree is just like a Christmas tree. You can do a triangle and then put a tree stump on it. And we finished it up by having them take the state of Louisiana and do sort of a pattern or design on it. I wanted to give them some freedom on the piece to just sort of express themselves.
We would review the historical dates of the main events for the acquisition of the Louisiana Purchase, and then Mr. Todd would follow that up with some drawings that would kind of match that description. If you remember, the first event we were talking about was when Napoleon had came to power. What happened after Napoleon came to power? Armani?
He made a secret treaty with the king and queen of Spain.
Right. What was the result of the secret treaty? AJ?
It was about that Spain would get northern Italy and Napoleon got the Louisiana territory.
Right. Then we asked about what would that look like?
And the way it usually worked is I would just say, Miss Chauvin, what's our next date? And she would tell me the next date and then start giving me the class information about what happened on that day. And Miss Chauvin, what happened in 1762?
Well, if we go back and look at our timeline, it shows how when France, the King of France, gave the gift of the Louisiana Territory to the King and Queen of Spain.
So what I thought we would do is draw a couple of kings on here, and King Louis could be giving King Charles a gift. And that gift could be the state of Louisiana. And then I would make drawing suggestions. And I'll put a crown on him. Maybe I'll give him some curls or something like that. We would talk about how things could be represented in a drawing. And he can be giving the state of Louisiana to King Charles. And the kids would draw. And we would do this every day for 3 days. And they did 3 on the first day, 3 on the second day, and actually 4 on the third day.
And as we're drawing, I'm walking around and asking them, so what's going on here for this event? So that way we're constantly assessing and seeing, do you actually know what's going on for this event?
Some of my favorite things that we did actually was, we actually did some portraits.
So the next date we're gonna be talking about, guys, is when Napoleon Bonaparte came to power, which was in 1799.
So what Ms. Chauvin would do is go on the computer and pull up historical paintings of Napoleon, of Jefferson.
Okay, so today's date we're gonna be doing is in 1802, when Spain closed the port of New Orleans.
I taught him how to draw a ship. That was a really fun thing to learn how to draw. 1, 2. So those make my sails. I'm gonna show you now how we're gonna put this on a port. As an art educator, I find it really important that we don't throw the kids stuff they can't handle. And I think that's really good for kids too, to have drawing confidence. If they have an artistic confidence, that art confidence will lead into other things. And they do feel confident. They are very sure about themselves when they draw it. And we move quickly. I think that's important too. The next thing we did was, I wanted to make sure every time we drew something in pencil that we outlined it using a Sharpie. The next step I do is we took our boards and we did crayon-resist with it. So what you're gonna do today is we're gonna trace over our lines. We're going to color with some crayon, and then we're gonna paint over it using watercolors. Basically, anywhere you color with crayon, it's wax. So when the water hits it, it rolls away. It's a great process to use in any classroom, especially with young kids. So the last thing we did was we took all the dates and I had them glue them around the pizza tray. And then from there, they drew a little ship on a little piece of paper, and I glued a magnet to that. And then I also gave them another magnet that they could actually put under the tray.
So their final assessment was we would have them sail their ship to whatever date we were talking about. We're gonna use our magnet and boat to sail to the correct date. I want you to sail your ship to when Jefferson became president. Zanique?
1801.
1801, good job. Okay, let's now sail our ship to when the port of New Orleans closed. What day, Zoe?
1802.
1802, great job.
I love a piece of artwork with children that's kinetic, can actually move with the piece. They can interact with the piece of art.
Sometimes with history, things could get kind of boring, and so art can make it more fun and exciting.
It's just coming at the same information in an exciting way. Instead of just testing on it, or instead of just talking about it, you're actually making something. And I love that about arts integration. How do you take art and turn it into a teaching tool?
And then they get to bring it home and teach their family about the things that they learned. And you can really see that they really understand the concept.